3 billion naira from gas flaring penalties issued against oil and gas firms in January and February 2023, according to findings by the Bureau for flaring 24 billion standard cubic feet of gas, valued at about 40 billion naira between January and February 2023. This was according to a recent gas flare data by the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, which noted that the companies operating onshore would pay the penalties for violating the gas flaring rule. Companies operating onshore flared 24.5 billion cubic of gas valued at $85.8 million, with $49 million penalty payable, the agency wrote. And the report companies fled 19.14 billion cubic of gas in January and 14.04 billion of gas in February, contributing 1.3 million tons of carbon dioxide emission with power generation potential of 2,500 gigawatt hours. On the other hand, companies operating offshore fled 25.8 billion of gas valued at $90 million, capable of generating 2,600 gigawatt hours of electricity and had an equivalent of 1.4 million tons of carbon dioxide emission. In particular, the offshore companies fled 10.84 billion and 13.09 billion cubic of gas in January and February 2023 respectively. Nostra did not state how much penalties offshore companies would pay for the flare. However, findings by the Punch showed that the federal government did not get up to 22 billion naira from gas flaring penalties in January and February. Data from the quarterly statistical bulletin for the first quarter of 2023 by the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the federal government earned 4.6 billion naira in January and 4.07 billion naira in February, which is actually very, very low compared to what was expected. And I believe that the Tinubu's administration will also look into this side of the activities. Talking about gas flaring, you have to pay penalty for gas flaring. This is a global practice. It is not only peculiar to Nigeria. It is the practice worldwide, so they have to. And one thing that we are lacking in this country is monitoring. We lack following up on things. This is gonna bring a huge sum of money to the government. We're talking about revenue generation, rather. I beg your pardon. Revenue generation is very key. IMF has warned Nigeria over and over again on the need for us to improve on our revenue generation. This is also a very good avenue for us to generate revenue as a country. If the oil companies flare gas, then they should pay the penalty because it has an impact on the environment, and globally it has been set that any company that flare gas would have to pay fine. And this is what we are talking about this morning from the Punch newspaper, that the federal government did not get as much as they should get from the activities of all these oil companies in terms of fines they are to pay as a result of gas flaring. This is contained on the Punch newspaper. If you want details of this and more, you can take a look at that, but that is the crux of the story. And let's move to this one that is contained on the Guardian newspaper, that says, with 1 week left, Tinubu's ministerial list fails to surface at Senate. And also Senate, that's on the headline, and some of the riders Senate dismisses talks on ministerial list, set up committee on National Assembly internal security. Another rider here, senators stop TCN from obtaining $155 million World Bank loan to manufacture meters, seek protection for domestic manufacturers. And the last rider here is saying, implement 35% affirmative action, include women in cabinet, reps tell Tinubu. All right, this is the details of this particular headline. After raised hopes, it was an anticlimax yesterday as the Senate failed to announce the arrival of the list of ministerial nominees reportedly submitted by the presidency, contrary to the expectations of Nigerians on the ministerial list of President Bola Tinubu. The Senate, shortly before commencing the legislative business of the day, which was their last for the week, went into a closed-door meeting, heightening hopes it was about to brainstorm on the cabinet nominees of Mr. President. Soon after taking the petitions, which is the fifth item on the order paper, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced that the senators should go into an executive session after the leader, Opeyemi Bamidele, had announced the private session. The Senate entered into the closed-door meeting session at 11:59 a.m. and came out at 1:41 p.m. After the resumption of its plenary at 1:46 p.m., it was gathered that nothing of such was discussed, as the list had not got to the Senate. The Senate President, however, disclosed that their marathon discussion was centered on improving internal security within the premises of the National Assembly. The Senate President also announced that an ad hoc committee has been set up to that effect, to be headed by Senator Danjuma Goje from Gombe State. The development means that President Tinubu has just a week to the 60 days deadline as stipulated in the 1999 Constitution, as amended, which requires that the President and governors to submit the names of persons nominated as ministers or commissioners within 60 days of taking the oath of office for confirmation by the Senate or State House of Assembly. Tinubu, who assumed office on May 29, 2023, has up till July 27 to unveil his cabinet. Also, Senator Victor Ume, representing Anambra Central, denied insinuations that the closed-door meeting was over the list of ministerial nominees submitted by the presidency. The lawmaker, who spoke to newsmen briefly after plenary, noted that the meeting had nothing to do with ministerial list, rather it was due to other issues which he did not mention. It had been reported widely that the Senate was forced into a closed-door meeting session at 11:59 a.m., a few minutes to the commencement of Thursday plenary, due to the list of ministerial nominees believed to have been submitted by President Bola Tinubu. Earlier on Tuesday, report emerged that the clerk of the National Assembly had received communication from the presidency on the ministerial list. And also, the House of Representatives yesterday, on its part, urged President Tinubu to consider the declaration on 35% affirmative action on women participation in governance through the ministerial nominees. The call followed the consideration of a motion titled "Need to Ensure Beijing Declaration on 35% Affirmative Action on Women's Appointment into Positions," moved by Billy Osawaru. Presenting the motion, Osawaru said that Nigeria, as a member of the United Nations, signed and ratified the several applicable international instruments, agreements, and conventions without reservation, including the Beijing Declaration and the Platform for Action 1995. These instruments have always highlighted that member nations put in place all the necessary apparatuses needed to eliminate gender discriminations, ensure equality and human dignity to all men and women. The National Gender Policy has formulated a 35% affirmative action in Nigeria since 2006. This policy demands that 35% of women be involved in all governance processes. The National Gender Policy recognized, but it is not practiced as expected, thereby leaving our country behind many other African countries like Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa, and Namibia that have grown their women participation to over 40%, and many global reports do not speak good of our country in this regard. The 2022 World Gender Gap Report revealed that Nigeria ranks 123rd out of a total 146 countries, while another 2022 report by the Gender Strategy Advancement International, a non-governmental organization, showed that Nigeria ranked 181 of 193 countries on the Gender Equality Index for countries with low women representation in governance. Nigerian women have continued to excel in Nigeria and other countries, serving in high-level positions in these countries and doing very well in the private sector, but yet to be accorded this 35% status in Nigeria. The President Muhammadu Buhari's administration of 2015 to 2019 and 2019 to 2023 reneged on his promises to Nigerian women as he appointed only 6 women out of 36 cabinet ministers, representing about 16%. Despite the clamors for improvement in women participation in politics and other sectors across the globe, Nigeria seems to be going in a wrong direction since 1999 till date. Out of over 2,657 legislators, both Senate and Reps, only about 157 women have been inaugurated into the National Assembly. But when put to voice note, the motion got the support of the majority of the members and was therefore adopted. Meanwhile, the Senate yesterday suspended the transmission company of Nigeria from obtaining a loan facility of $155 million from the World Bank for mass production of local meters. The upper legislative chamber resolved to suspend application of the loan because its agreement promotes foreign manufacturers against competent and qualified local meter manufacturers in the country, and the Senate by the motion sought protection for local manufacturers of prepaid meters following the approval of a $155 million World Bank loan for the National Mass Metering Program of the federal government. The resolution was a sequel to the motion sponsored by Ume of Labour Party from Anambra Central during plenary. Presenting the motion, Ume noted that it is the duty of industry procurement regulators in every developing economy to protect local manufacturers and would only try to augment importation of goods and services where there is a clear-cut gap between local production and consumption. He said members of Association of Meter Manufacturers of Nigeria, AMON, are capable of producing world standard smart meters. Hence, the Transmission Company of Nigeria and the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, under phase 1 of the mass metering program of the federal government, issued the association after a competitive bidding process a letter of no objection to award 4 million meters in 2022. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, also in 2020 undertook the National Mass Metering Program Phase 1, but after 8 months of award to local manufacturers, withdrew funding, which affected the workability of the program. These are 3-in-1 pieces here, very, very essential, very key when you look at it in terms of issue of governance. First of all, we talked about the supposed list of ministers going to the National Assembly, and now the National Assembly have confirmed that they are yet to receive the nominees list from Mr. President, which rumor has it that on Tuesday the list had gone to the National Assembly after receiving clearance from the security agencies. Now we have it authoritatively from the National Assembly that they are yet to receive the list. And also another topic here contained on this particular headline or this details that issue of 35% affirmative action. This is very, very key. Beijing Agreement of Beijing Convention of 1995 says that 35% of women should be captured in positions of government, and this is one thing that we are lacking in Nigeria. We have to say it the way it is. Nigerian women are left behind when it comes to appointive position. Yes, in terms of elective position, I stand to argue a bit because the positions are open for both male and female to contest. So if the women are able and capable to contest and defeat the male counterpart, then why not? They should do that. But where they need to be captured and be given the voice and support is when it comes to appointive position. I'm not saying we should not support them when it comes to elective position, but they already have an open playing field, a level playing field for them to contest. If at all they have what it takes to contest. Yes, there are a lot of women who contested and defeated some men, especially here in the FCT. We can make reference with what happened in terms of the Senate election, when you can see clearly a female defeating a male who has been in the seat for a very, very long time. So this is actually a good one for the women. But again, in terms of what we saw during President Muhammadu Buhari's regime from 2015 to 2019, 2019 to 2023, he made a lot of promises to the women female gender, that he was gonna consider them in terms of taking up the 35% affirmative action, but reverse was the case. Out of whatever he did, he was able to capture 16% or cover 16% of women in his list of cabinet. But this time around, we are saying in strong voice that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should consider the 35% affirmative action, because Nigeria is a member state, accept the signature member state of the United Nations that ratified this, and accept that we will go with this. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should consider 35% affirmative action, so that women can also be carried along in terms of appointive position in the country. And the last one is talking about the mass metering that the Senate, the National Assembly, House of Reps rather, rejected the $155 million loan that the TCN is requesting, talking about Transmission Council of Nigeria for electricity mass metering production, simply because I really love this submission by the National Assembly, to be precise, that this is going to have a negative impact on local production, because most of who will benefit if the deal goes through is the foreign producers, because most of what we are going to be using will be imported into Nigeria. What we should be doing is that we encourage local production, and the only time that we can bring in from outside the shores of Nigeria is when there is a gap between what we have in Nigeria and what is being demanded. So there is a gap between our own local production and demand. That is when we bring in to augment and meet up with the demand, so that we don't have more supply chasing a few demand. So that is exactly a good one for Nigeria. Don't forget that you can also be part of this conversation by calling the studio line and comment on any of the headlines that interest you, that you feel you have a voice to air. Remember, this is Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, and it is a station that is created purposely because of you, our listener. We give you the opportunity to be heard. It is not okay if you just bottle what you have on your mind. You may think within yourself, but we give you the opportunity to think out loud by calling our program and be part of it. The number to call the studio line is 0700 010 961 961, 0700 010 961 961. That is the number to call and be part of this conversation this morning. You can as well use the WhatsApp platform. You can call via the WhatsApp. You can drop a voice note via the WhatsApp. You can also send SMS. We will certainly read it out for you. And don't forget, at 7:30 we will be joining our guest analyst in person of RUFAI OSENI, who will also add some more voices or opinion to the headlines that we have for you today. Today is 21st July 2023, and this is the front page review on your friendly frequency. All right, let's take a look at this particular headline before we go to pay these bills. Yes, I will be paying a bill. We're talking about playing some advert before we link up with our guest, RUFAI OSENI. Let me just give the headline. INEC bows to pressure, recognize youth party. We will go in details about this headline when we come back after this break. We will be discussing it with RUFAI OSENI. And don't forget, you can also be part of it. You can actually watch what we do live on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja. That is the handle, Voice of the People Abuja. And we also live on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at VOP961. At VOP961. Thank you for staying with us, and please don't change your dial, because we will come back and it's going to be more interesting after the break. Stay with us and don't change your dial.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway to wait?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less.
Been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream. Delight in every school. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream.
At number 4, Ogbomosho Street,
Area 8, Geriki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Gwaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at romeospizza.ng. Website www.romeospizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions.
Add us to your favorites. Add us to your favorites.
Add us to your favorites.
And keep your browser locked.
Keep your browser locked. Yeah, this station's got soul.
Oh my God. Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja, Abuja, Abuja.
It's easy to cover the news, but what we are doing is hard.
Front Page Review.
Front Page Review gives you the story beyond the headlines, the news from every angle.
Now let's start the review with this day. The lead story, bury zoning and bury Nigeria.
The story on top of the lead, terror threats. Sanwo-Olu summons emergency security meeting. Last but not the least is the story on the window. At 70, Buhari extols JC Danjuma's years of service.
Join the Front Page Review at 7 a.m. every weekday from VOP 96.1 FM.
welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is VOP 96.1 FM. Front page review is what we are doing currently. And it's time for us to link up with our guest analyst in person of RUFAI OSENI, who will be sharing some more on the headlines that we have for today. Hello, good morning.
Morning, bless you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're well this morning.
Yes, I'm well. Hope you're well.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. Although we woke up with a rain this morning, it's a rainy morning in the FCT today.
Wow. Okay. It's a great day. I pray it's a blessing for all of us. I pray it brings blessings for all of us.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. All right, let's start. We have a couple of headlines. Let's start with this from the Guardian that says, with 1 week left, Tinubu's ministerial list fails to surface at Senate. It has a couple of riders on this particular story, about 3 riders. Senate dismisses talks on ministerial list, set up committee on National Assembly internal security. And another rider here is senators stop TCN from obtaining $155 million World Bank loan to manufacture meters, seek protection for domestic manufacturers, and also implement 35% affirmative action, include women in cabinet, reps tells Tinubu. So let's start with this particular one.
Okay, a couple of stories. Number one, ministerial list. I'm shocked that we've not had a ministerial list. With all of this happening, you need a quick team to plan. This doesn't involve an economic measure. I don't know what the president is doing. I don't know how he's time. There's an economic crisis on ground that a minister needs to come and oversee on strategically plan. So the better he gets the list out, the better for everybody. I support the Senate. When they do well, I'll say they do well. I support the Senate. I'll let out local manufacturers of meat. I mean, by now we should be able to do meters and skill transfer in Nigeria. And when you take a World Bank loan, this loan might be small and considerable, but it bites us in the future.
Yeah.
Just I think that some Senate line it was a loan actually. We're going to do 30 years time. So I just hope we're able to incent local companies to be able to produce the meter, and these are things we should be able to do with smart meters and the like. It's just the cheap really people can also push companies that produce things like that. If only we're desperate. Really. What's that story again?
It's talking about 35% affirmative action to include women in cabinet.
Yes, very important. Very important too. Very important. I support that too. 35% affirmative action. Not just only affirmative action. It's also about inclusion of women in politics, making the political terrain conducive for women, special capital for women that want to go into politics, because we know funding is a big problem, and also changing our cultural mindset and either to cultural barriers, things that impede women in politics. So it's just changing the ecosystem and also allowing women to come out and stand a very, very good chance. Because women have a very major role in our politics. The likes of Kambusa Waba cannot be forgotten, the role she played in our politics. And, there are other women, I forget her name, the likes of even Alimoto Peleura, although she was not a really front-line politician, but she was very good friends with Macaulay, and there were those that faced the British cola crisis. It is not today we had a cola crisis, cost of living. So cola means cost of living allowance. Just after the war, what happened? And when I say after the war, after the Second World War, around the Second World War, a lot of things happened. There was a massive cost crisis around that time, and it was rehabilitating on the economy. And the likes of Alimoto Peleura, really helped, with Herbert Macaulay to be able to air the grievances of Nigerians. And there's a woman I tried to remember her name because she was very frontline. I think Oladile, if my memory serves me right. So she was very prominent in the 50s. In fact, her political party won a seat or thereabouts. She was the one that famously said, "Oh, Nigeria was," and she didn't support independence because she was like, "Nigeria was not ready for independence." Yes, and she was quite right, and she made very strong arguments. And, women have done so many great things in our politics, so let's just make the environment more enabling for them.
All right, what would you say? Because I could recall back in 2014, build up to 2015 election, former President Muhammadu Buhari made a lot of promise to include youth and women in his cabinet, but unfortunately, out of the ministers he had, he was able to cover 16% as opposed to the 35% which we expected for him to carry on. Do you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu, based on his previous antecedent while he was governor of Lagos, will also carry on women along in his administration?
I only believe people until they do things. So people say, "Being in poetry, someone improves." That's what Mariah Cuomo said famously. So I only believe things when I finally see people. It is not today that would have played a prominent role. If you remember the likes of Margaret Atwood of this world, you have a lot of women do prominent things in Nigerian politics. So I don't think it should be a challenge as regards capacity and all of that. No, one of the frontline people that led the struggle for independence was Mrs. Ransom Kuti. That was Fela's mother. She was a woman. She was very prominent. She was so prominent that she sent the Oba out of town in the 20s, the Alaki of Egbaland, the Alaki of Egbaland that done some misdemeanor, and she protested bitterly. It was women too that stood the British in what they call the Aba Women's War. It was not a riot because a lot of women were killed in that. The Wanyewura and codes of this world. They protested against taxation in the 1920s in this country.
Yeah.
And they held their own. And the other day I was going through an archive where I was reading the reports, the independent inquiry report as regards the Aba Women's riots of the 1926, 27, or 29.
29, yeah.
As regards what truly happened, and how many people that were killed in different sectors, and the role the likes of Wanyewura played. So they played from their role, and those were part of the riots that really wicked colonialism and made it easy for self-rule in Nigeria. So women played a prominent part in our democracy, getting our democracy. So it's not even up for contest at all. Politicians should do what they ought to do.
All right, let's move to this one that is on the Punch newspaper. It says, INEC bows to pressure, recognizes youth party. The Independent National Electoral Commission has bowed to pressure and finally recognized the youth party, that is YP, as a registered political party. The National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Festus Okoye, in a statement on Thursday said the Commission recognized the Youth Party following an order by the Supreme Court. I know
we're happy about that. We're happy the Youth Party found. What did you say?
No, just go ahead. Go ahead.
We're happy about that because it was long overdue. In fact, somebody sent me a message from the Youth Party thanking me for the role I played in all of this. I think we pushed very hard. We provided platforms across television for them to be able to air their views, and we're happy they finally got it. So the Youth Party should not just say, "Oh, they've got it." They should also be active. We want to get the Youth Party's position on various national issues, and that's how to push forward. And quickly, I'd like to talk about what really happened with the state at the National Executive Council. That's a very pertinent story. I thought that should have been your first story.
That is the one I am going to be taking now. Buhari social register lacks credibility.
No, but next time, please make it your lead story.
No problem. Right? No problem.
Your lead story. So what really happened yesterday was that the federal government is trying to pass all of those responsibilities to the state government. They're saying the state should go set up their social register and the likes. Truth has to be told. I always question the Buhari social register, and I'm happy people are being questioned. Despite the fact that I said, "Oh, the World Bank certified all of that," I'd always felt that was just sweet bollocks. The truth has to be said. We must have a social register that really covers a lot of people, and I didn't see anybody that I know that benefited from that social register. Secondly, I hope the state government will not commandeer the social register and make their political cronies front and foremost in the social register. We also have to see that. We also need to inspect what the state government is doing. They also talked about an energy transition plan, to CNG and some other forms of energy. I'd always talked about an energy bill, an energy mix. Apart from we should even think of going back to even see how we can use coal to produce power. Because we have coal sitting down there. I mean, if you remember the Ivor Valley massacre of 1945-46 in Enugu, back in the days, this was another landmark historical event that really pushed the British out, after that crisis as regards the workers' miners' strike. It was coal. There was a colliery mine in Enugu. The coal was used for many things. Nigeria was a coal country at a point in time. Enugu was called the coal city. But today we are not commercializing coal. So let us look at how we can do justice to coal and other forms of energy. If you look at South Africa, for instance, predominantly most of their power supply is still from coal. So we can also do well, with coal. So that's what I'm talking about, an energy mix. They also said they shared 900 billion, not 1.9 trillion. They made 1.9 trillion, but fact shared 900 billion across.
Yeah, 907 billion.
900, so across the states, across the federal government got over 300 billion, state got over, I think that about 300 billion, 200 billion thereabouts. The local government got there. There are some states that collect 35%, 45%, 30% derivation. They got about 47 billion to be able to share amongst them. And kudos to the FIRS. They got some money, in fact, surpassed their hitherto targets, but they set a personal target of about 12 trillion in revenue, but they've done about 5.97 trillion thus far half year. So, we can still collect more in terms of revenue. If you compare it to countries like Kenya, they're doing better in commercial revenue. So kudos to them as regards that. And pretty much most of the other taxes that were instituted, some monies came to share, monies around the electronic money transfer taxes, a couple of other taxes that were instituted and all of that. And we've gotten some veritable numbers out of that and the like. So kudos, but we can only push further and we can only ensure that this money doesn't use. So people should go to their states importantly and ask their state governors for accountability. And for you in Abuja, go to your municipal council. I don't want to talk about if Abuja is a state or not. The contest is out there. It's up for determination in court. So, but let's just be able to hold these people accountable for all of their actions and see how all of this process round out. But fingers crossed. But it also shows that there's a lack of critical thinking, and I must submit to you. You know why? Because when you look at it strongly, then if the Fed are taking some vital decisions as regards palliative and cushioning effects and a couple of mixed reactions to these. So what about the meeting here that the government was having with the NLC? What became of that meeting? Are they still going to meet with the NLC? And are they still going to fulfill some of the demands of the NLC that pretty much talks about refineries and the like? So, there are multiple questions that our government didn't answer. But it just shows that there's lack of critical planning.
Okay, how about this, what do you call infrastructure support fund that the federal government approved for states to create? Now, the impact of the removal of subsidy is felt across every strata in this country. But now, if the state government, talking about shifting the burden to the state government now, every governor, based on the information we have, is going to determine what he can afford based on what the state have. Don't you think this is not going to be kind of balanced? It's not going to be equitable to all Nigerians?
It's going to be problematic because the state governors will have their challenges. And, the state governments are taking on the responsibility now. But when they fail, it'll be a big subject of. And I hope they do it right, because we have also how we shifted burdens to state as regards management of things and in Congo. During COVID-19 palliative, how the states, their citizens suffer. And they pretty much boggle the sharing of COVID-19 palliatives and the like. So, they need to be very careful. They need to be able to watch it. As regards infrastructure fund, yes, it's going to help pep up infrastructure in the states. Let's say in the coming days. But all of these, I'm still going to look at it with bated breath, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
Okay, and also this Buhari social register that we already have been having issue around the credibility of it, which you talked about earlier on. Could you please provide some solution? How do we get it right in terms of getting who really the vulnerable Nigerians are, so that we get a credible register? How do we get a credible register?
Use AI and target bank balances. Use AI, target bank balances. You'll see thresholds. NDIC, okay, let me tell you how you can get a veritable one. NDIC already said over 500,000, over 98% of Nigerians don't have 500,000 in their bank accounts. So use bank balances. So if you are to go by NDIC, almost all of us should even be on that social register. If NDIC says over 90% of Nigerians don't have 500,000 in their bank balance, their bank. So almost all of us should be about use bank balances. Use bank balances. And you can also make the argument, okay, what about the unbanked? Yeah, they also about the unbanked. Can we also use the number? And can we also use local government data? So the question is, local government data is also one of them. Can we also ask revenue questions in our census? And that's why we need data. So there are a couple of data points, data sets. You can use BVN data points for those that have bank accounts. Those that are unbanked, then you can also use probably, other forms of data, local government data and the likes, to be able to ascertain what makes up the lowest of the low in society. So there are a couple of data sets. There's your BVN, there's your need, but BVN bank balances. If you can set up like a data infrastructure to be able to check through, you should be able to get the poorest of the poorest.
Sorry to
and if you really need to consider the poorest of the poorest, for you to be fair, you can also use the lottery system. So if you have like 3 million data sets of the poorest or 40 million data sets, then if you say you want to give 12 million, you can use a lottery system, like a national lottery system, where, all right, people's, the way people are accepted or got it from that lottery system, just use a national transfer system in such a way. And use digital means to be able to put the money in the accounts, wallets, and things like that, so that people can be able to get it.
All right. I wanted to ask you something, though it's not on this, but because you talk about data, and we know that that is one area where we're having a lot of problem in this country. Talking about data, you said some questions should be included in our census. Talking about census a bit, what do you think of the credibility of the move by the commission to carry out census in Nigeria? Talking about National Population Commission.
It's long overdue. In fact, it's up for no contest. Census is long overdue. The last time we did census, 2006. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. I think it's a 10-year cycle. You must be able to enumerate properly, because if you don't have census, you can't plan. So I think the earlier we even give them money to be able to do the census, yeah, you can talk about methodology, but I think they have better methods, as regards spatial enumeration and evaluation these days and all of that. So, but it's long overdue. It's long overdue. But also, it's about harnessing the collective data points. It's about harnessing collective data points. I think the one thing I am happy about is that need is a very veritable data point now. Also, our birth and death records is also a very veritable data point. Registration of birth and death is very important. Your need number is sort of like your social security number now. So they should be able to use that to reach out to you, across board.
All right, we
also.
All right, we also have this one. I think this should be our last headline for today. It's on the Guardian. Presidential election yoke upon the judiciary. Every eye is on the judiciary now, waiting to see what will happen. So, what are your expectations from the judiciary, or your call to the judiciary, rather?
The judiciary must be seen as fair, not partisan. The judiciary must be seen standing tall and being in the vanguard of justice. That's all I'll say.
All right. Thank you very much. Except if you have any other thing you want to talk about before we let you go. You go ahead and do that.
You know what I want to talk about. Yesterday, you and I had bet, and I told you if they beat us, if Canada beats Nigeria, that you are going to bet pizza from me. So
Yes.
Canada did not beat. I'm sure when they had that penalty, you were praying they should score. Canada did not.
Nadozie was heroic. She was able to save the penalty. But now, if we are to be fair, it's 50-50. So we have to share the spoil, just like they shared the spoil. You have to go halfway with your promise.
Okay, so I'll buy you half pizza, you buy me half pizza. We both buy one. I will sit down and eat all. Deal?
Yeah, deal.
Deal?
Deal.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
We sit over pizza, we eat pizza together. Deal.
Deal, no problem. Seal, signed. Yet to be delivered.
Handshake, my friend.
Handshake. All right. Thank you for that. Do have a lovely day ahead.
And don't forget our elderly care bill.
Sure.
Please, let's reach out to elderly people and let's do well for our country and let's pray for our country. Bless you, my friend.
Bless you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. Have a lovely day ahead.
Yeah.
All right, that was Mr. RUFAI OSENI with his wonderful perspective to the stories that we have for today. And I think we have a couple of minutes left to go where we can open the phone lines for you, our listener, to also get into the conversation. You can reach us via the studio line 0700 010 961 961. You can use the WhatsApp portal as well. You can send your WhatsApp message or you call via the WhatsApp portal. We will pick your call and read your message as well. You can call normal call. And just to set the record straight, a lot of people complain about our number or ask question that the number doesn't sound correct. It is correct. Actually, it's a special number dedicated to you, our listener. It's a special number. It's not the usual 0703 or 0707 that we know of. This is 070 0010 961 961. As simple as that. You can easily get it and save it on your phone. Whenever we have programs, you do well to contribute because we are here to amplify your voice. Our voice or our responsibility behind the microphone is just to bring up the topic, bring up the discussion, and you have the responsibility to call in and let the authority know what you are passing through. Let them know your thought. It's not okay for you to just bottle what you have. Think out loud, and that is what we will be telling you on this platform. Okay, we have our caller on the line. Let's see who we have. Hello, good morning. Oh, we just lost that call. Do well to call back if you can. And don't forget that you can make use of the WhatsApp portal as well. Same number, 070 0010 961 961. 070 001 0961 961. You can use that number, same number, to call me via the WhatsApp line, or you can call me normal call. You drop an SMS or you send me a WhatsApp message. I will certainly read your message out. It is the front page review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM, where we go beyond the headline. We go into details and give you a lot of angles to the stories that we have. Let's take a look at this story before we wrap up. I think it's very good that we talk about it. 10 children, you should know this. 10 children hospitalized over strange disease outbreak in Kaduna. No fewer than 10 children between the ages of 3 to 13 years have been hospitalized following the outbreak of an unnamed disease in the Kafanchang Jama'a local government area of Kaduna State. It was learned that the disease outbreak forced many primary and secondary schools to be shut down while authorities launched an investigation. The chairman of the local government, Yunana Barde, who confirmed the outbreak of the disease, said the strange disease broke out on Wednesday night. Barde spoke to journalists at the Kafanchan General Hospital on Thursday. He, however, urged residents not to panic, saying efforts were being made to contain the disease. He commended this hospital for providing a temporary isolation center for patients who came down with the strange disease. The medical director of the General Hospital, Dr. Isaac Nathaniel, said resuscitative measures were being carried out on 10 suspected victims on admission. He said, last night I was notified of the outbreak of what looks like a respiratory tract track infection at Ward B community in Kafanchan. I quickly dispatched a team of medical and laboratory personnel who got in touch with 3 of the suspected cases. We are doing all we can to stabilize them and give them treatment while we carry out the investigation. According to him, the patients whose ages are between 3 and 13 displayed symptoms ranging from sore throat, headache, and fever to difficulty in swallowing and breathing, amongst others. He added that the state epidemiologist and his team were on their way to Kafanchan from Kaduna to ascertain the epidemiologic basis of the outbreak and its spread. He, however, debunked the news making rounds that about 10 people had died, noting none of the purported dead bodies had been brought to the mortuary. We were notified of some dead last night, but none of the so-called dead bodies has been brought to us. So it's all hearsay for now, Nathaniel said. So, and this is the last headline that we will be looking at this beautiful morning. I wish you all the best and thank you for listening. We appreciate your calls. We appreciate your listenership. It is very, very valuable to us because you are a key stakeholder. If you're our listener, you are the biggest stakeholder that we have. We're proud of you and we say a big thank you for tuning to Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Top of the hour at 8 will be time for Igbo Amaka. Miren Wuro will come through with that. Front page review, but this time around in Igbo language. We speak your language. Variety is our spice. Stay with us and don't change your dial. Good morning and have a lovely weekend ahead. My name is Ali Udoma and thanks for listening.